Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Marsha. Everyone who's listening, we both have croaky morning voice because we're up at the crack of dawn to record this episode because I'm going off to drink wine with my mom at a winery in Lodi.
No, and what I have to ask is I have to ask you, Kelly, because you said you're going to the winery at 10:30. Now you're not starting drinking wine at 10:30. You are leaving the house at 10:30 to drive a couple hours to the winery, or what? How's this working? Okay, so it'll be afternoon.
It's 1:00. Yeah, we'll be there at 1:00.
Okay,
so it's kind of far. The winery is called Clinker Brick, and we found it when we were using Harvest Host. Robert and I found it on our way home. We didn't stay there, but we stayed at another one, and we had them come up and meet us when we were coming home from. I think when we were coming home from Black Sheep that first year with the trailer. And then while we were looking around, we saw the others. And so then we planned then I don't know if it was spring break or we planned a trip with them. Maybe it was the fall. We planned a trip with my mom and Dennis, got them Harvest Host and planned a trip with them. And we went and we spent a night at this winery, a night at a different winery, and then they have a place that they are members of on the Delta. And so then the third night we stayed at the place where they're members at the Delta. And so that was like the first trip that we had done together with the Harvest Host stuff. And so we found this winery and they really liked it. So anyway, now they're members. And so they go up periodically to pick up their wine, and it's a shorter trip for them than for us. I think it's about an hour and a half for them, maybe an hour and 15. And for us, it's about 2 hours and a half. So anyway, it's really a nice place. It's great for the dogs. There's lots of grass. There's, tables outside. It's always warmer than home. At least warmer than my home. It might not be warmer than theirs, but it's always warmer than here. So it's really nice to go. And so they were going up to pick up wine, and I'm like, okay, let me look at my calendar. Sure. Long story short, Marsha and I had to rearrange the time of our recording so we could be done in time for Robert and I to head out to the winery.
So you can go drink.
So I can go drink on a Friday. Not only is it day drinking, it's day drinking on a weekday. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's a fun trip with my mom, and they bring their corgi and we bring our dogs, and they all lay under the table and get treats and have a good time. So the last time we met them up there, my niece came down from Sacramento to also join us with one of her friends. So that was kind of fun. So what's on your plate for today, or what news do you have? Anything? Chit-chat news?
Chit-chat news. Well, you know this, but I'm helping my brother get his house ready to sell. So as everyone knows, he bought a house down in the desert in Rancho Mirage, California. But he's living with me because he has to get the house in Seattle ready to sell. So it's now crunch time. The stagers are coming, I believe. Kelly, I'm not even going to say what day this is. This is Friday, right? What's the date?
Yeah. It's a dateless Friday.
Oh, it's May 2nd. Oh, here, look, it's right here on my computer. I can see it is. It's Friday, May 2nd. Anyway, he has to have everything done next Wednesday because the stagers are coming Thursday, Friday to stage the house, and then it'll be photographed. So it's getting to be kind of crunch time, and there's things that he's having to do that so yesterday I felt really bad for him because he's had new carpet put in the basement, which he had to do. He knew that. And he's having a new ceiling put in because it was just those ceiling tiles, that old. And so they've ripped the ceiling out. They put the new carpet in, and then the pipe from the bathtub is dripping. And this is a new thing. It's not happened before. And so he was kind of, when you're getting so close to the end, and then like there's a plumbing issue, and it's dripping water just on the new carpet. So we put a bowl under it, and he has a plumber coming to look at it. But it's like suddenly all these you just didn't want to have that happening when you're so close to being done. So I'm going to go in today, and they want the inside of the fireplace painted black. So I'm going to do that. And then the stairwell going down to the basement door, I'm going to clean that out. It's got some moss and stuff. So I said I'd work on cleaning that out. And he's going out to buy flowers. He said there was flats of geraniums at Costco. So he's going out to buy a flat of those in the morning. He has to run a couple of errands. He's going to get those, and then I'll plant them in the pots on the patio. I don't know. There's still stuff that has to go on. He has to put a new floor in the kitchen, and then I was telling you before
Wednesday?
We started recording that. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Oh, he's had to do a lot of stuff. But then the other thing, I was telling you this before we started recording, but a friend came by to help him paint the kitchen and went to pull the stove out to get behind the stove and paint. But instead of pulling the stove, he pulled the oven door, and it came off on one side, but it's still attached on the left side. And we can't get it on, and we can't get it off. So,
oh geez.
So he's now looking to he may have to just buy a new stove if we can't get that door fixed. So, I mean, the doors, they're supposed to come off, to be cleaned, but it's, you have to take it off straight, and you have to put it on straight. So now it's at an odd angle. So I don't know.
Something's bent. Yeah.
And see if I can figure it out. But the end is near, and yesterday I rented a van and just took, my plan was to take, he had a bunch of IKEA bookcases, and my plan was to take those to the Goodwill, but they wouldn't, I drove out there and they wouldn't take them. So I just had to turn around and take them to the dump, which made me feel really bad. This throwing stuff that's usable, but they wouldn't take them. So. Anyway, that's another whole story. That's a whole nother podcast about the stuff that, as a society, that we just throw away. But anyway, the end is. I think we're near the end of it. We're getting close, but it is really crunch time now.
Yeah.
Just there's more stuff to get out of the. I mean, he lived there 30 years.
Yeah,
he's lived there 30 years. Nearly. I think it's 30 years he's lived in that house. So, 95. He moved in. So, no, is that right? 92.
Okay.
Since 1992.
So over 30 years.
So, yeah. And then, he's a bit of a collector. So it's just been a lot, it's a lot to, so anyway, but we go back down to the Washington coast on May 16th. So I think everybody's I know I'm looking forward to it. Initially I wasn't, because I've been gone so much. I realized, oh God, I don't want to leave the house again. But now I'm kind of like looking forward to going down there, because there's really nothing you can do other than walk on the beach, play with the dogs, eat.
Enforced relaxation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it'll be good for him too. He needs a break. So anyway, that's what's been going on. I have to say too, this is the first time we've recorded since I was down there in California. And so I drove home. And when I was driving home, I decided I did not get a chance to stop at Eugene Textiles Center on the way south to your house, but on the way north, I did stop, and I walked in there, and Dagmar was in there.
That is so funny.
I know. So that was really cool. And
it wasn't like you were both on the road going in the same direction. Like you stayed here for a while. But you didn't both leave. It's not as though you both left the retreat at the same time and happened to both stop at Eugene Textile Center.
No,
it was just
because she left the retreats. We all left Sunday. I went to your house, and then she just went on a road trip. She went to Oakland, and so she was going to be on the road for a bit of time.
Well, tell us what you.
But anyway,
tell us what you got at the Eugene Textile Center. Anything? Did you find
not
good
very
stuff?
much? No, the main I wanted to get some of their cotton. That I made those dish towels out of. And when Kim and I had been there in, I think that was February, I think, they were kind of wiped out. They didn't have, I think I bought white. That was the only color they had. And so I thought, they probably have restocked. They have, but it's still not very much. So I got I think I bought 4. I bought a gold color, 2 kind of like a steel blue, like a gray blue. And then I can't remember what the 4th color was I bought. It doesn't matter. But anyway, I just bought 4 cones of yarn, the cotton yarn. That's all I bought. And I looked at the used equipment, but there wasn't anything I needed. So I was a good girl and I just left.
You didn't manufacture a need.
Yeah.
Just so you could bring more stuff home.
Well, it's I had a call from a friend who wants to start knitting, and so she's going to make a hat. We had a conversation about it, and when I was talking to her, one thing I realized, like with the weaving, I'm back like when I was a new knitter. There's all this terminology I need to learn. I don't know, and so when we were talking about it, she's from Australia, and she said in Australia years ago when she did knit when she was much younger, she had made a few things, but she's said that it's the yarn weight is measured by the plies. Yeah. The number of plies.
Yeah.
Are any listeners in Australia can confirm this or deny it?
I think the UK is the same.
Okay. And so she said she doesn't know what it means, like bulky, air and worsted. And so I just explained it to her, and I said, but that was one of the things too, like when I was a new knitter, it took me a really long time to figure out, the size, the name and the size. So I said, just what you ought to do is just go online and make a screenshot of the list, and then when you go to the yarn store. And I said also, if most yarn stores are typically organized by weight. Not always, but typically. So, but I just realized, like, with weaving, I'm back to that where, like there's 8-4, 8-2, whatever those numbers are.
10-2,
to me, yes, and you have explained it to me, Kelly, about 5 times. I still can't wrap my head around.
Well, the thing about it is it's not uniform either, because cotton is one set of numbers for the thickness of the yarn, and then linen is a little different, and then I think wool might be even different than that. It's because I don't have that much cost to use it because I'm still working off of spirit yarn. So it might say what kind of yarn it is, it might not. I just kind of look at it and say, okay, you look close to the other ones I'm using. Or, okay, I need something that's thicker. You look thicker than the other ones I'm using. So I'm really not using that system all that much myself.
So yeah, I don't know I go in there and I don't really know what to buy. So I just thought I bought 4 cones of the yarn that I knew. So anyway, and then, the other chit-chatty thing I will just mention is my friend Crystal works with a woman who's a quilter, and she has a book that was published.
Oh.
And so she had a little book party at Project 9, which is the brewery right below my house. And so Crystal and I just walked down there. And so the book is called Quilting the National Parks. And 20 original designs inspired by the beauty of our national parks. And her name is Stephanie Forster. And I said to her, there's a book of the hat book, of knitting hats for all the national parks. And she said, it's the same publisher.
Okay.
So they reached out to her because they wanted to do one with quilts for the national parks. So anyway, she it's a beautiful book, and they're very, I would say the designs are kind of like, they're not literal interpretations, they're very abstract kind of, they're beautiful. So anyway, I'll put a link in the show notes to this.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So, yeah. So that was kind of fun. I think that's
a quilting book signing or book release show at a beer place. That sounds right.
Yeah. And actually that place, it's called Project 9. Anybody's in Seattle or the area, if you want to go there, it's very nice. And they really have expanded it. So it's 2 levels inside, but they've built these really nice garden areas that I think you can use them pretty much year round because they have a lot of covers. Some areas are uncovered, but a lot are covered. And they have sort of like those, those outdoor sofas and stuff. And so, in Seattle, we have a lot of rain, so it's nice to have. You can still use. I mean, we go out in the rain and we eat outside in the rain as long as we're covered up, right? So,
right.
It's a nice place. I would recommend it.
Cool.
So, and they always have a food truck there too.
That's good.
Okay, I guess that's all my chit chat.
All right. Well, let's talk projects then. I want to hear about your big finish.
Yes. So, yes. So I made, it's called Hedgehog. It's a pattern by PurlSoho. And when I was at the NoCKRs retreat in the destash room, I found a ball of Louisa Harding Luzia, Luzia, and it's one of those hairy, furry yarns, novelty yarns. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, this would be perfect for a hedgehog. So at the retreat, I went online and I found this PurlSoho pattern. The pattern does not use furry yarn. It actually just uses worsted weight yarn. And it makes sort of the texture of the body is garter stitch. So, but I started looking through the projects and people had used furry yarn. Mm-hmm. But what they said, instead of doing garter stitch, they recommended doing reverse stockinette. So the purl side is out. Apparently it shows more of the hair if the purl side out. Uh-huh. So that's what I did. And then in the room, I also found just a ball of sort of worsted weight yarn that kind of matched the fur. So anyway, I think I made it in 3 days. So Kelly, my unfinished toy streak
is over.
Might be done.
Yay. It's very cute. Oh my gosh, darling.
It's very cute. So I gave it to Mark because he really likes Hedgehog. Mm-hmm. So it's going to go to the desert. But it's very cute. And I did change it to, you're supposed to just stitch eyes on it. I use those little plastic eyes because I kind of like the idea of the shiny eyes, you know. Then,
yeah, and it's not going to a little kid, so it doesn't matter, right?
No. And the other thing I did too, Kelly, you inspired me because, your first chicken that you made out of hand spun, you stuffed it with wool. Mm-hmm. And I stuffed this hedgehog with wool. It was a fleece that I think it's a merino that I had washed, but I had not carded it or anything. So I just took that and sort of pulled it apart, fluffed it up, and I stuffed the hedgehog with that. And the wool gives it kind of a heft that I think the polyfill doesn't give it.
Yeah, I really like the things that I've stuffed with wool. The way they've come out. Mm-hmm. It has a little bit more. It has a little bit more density to the fiber than that polyfill.
Yeah. So it's very cute. I recommend that pattern, and it's pretty easy and pretty quick because it's not very big either. But I will say, with that furry yarn, don't drop a stitch because you will struggle to find it.
So I have a question though. If you struggle to find it, does it really matter if you find it?
Well, the only thing is it starts unraveling. That's the only thing. Yeah. So I found something that I could pick up. Now, when I say
Yes.
I have no idea if it was the drop stitch,
Yes.
but
Find something and pick it back up. Yeah.
it could have been 2 stitches below or something. I don't know, but I found something to pick up so that it wouldn't unravel. But yeah, it's to your point, it doesn't matter. Well, in fact, at a certain point, you join it in the you knit the belly of it first, and then it's interesting when you start with the furry yarn, you start at the head and you knit across, and then you pick up a stitch of the body.
Oh, nice!
And then knit back, and so you keep do. So you do a decrease and pick up a stitch, and then you go back to the other side, do a decrease, pick up a stitch. So your stitch count stays the same the whole length of the body, but you're picking up all those belly stitches, and sometimes, so I now have it on 3 needles going, is that right? Did I have it on 3 needles? No, I still had it on just the 2 needles, I think. That's not the point. The point is, one needle I'd realize, I'd knit those stitches where I should have been purling, or, because I was doing reverse stockinette, so I have to knit on one side and purl on the other side, and sometimes I'd forget, and I think, and I tried, the first time I knit those stitches and then dropped a stitch. So if I didn't, I tried to remember which side I was on, like to do the correct stitch. And sometimes I would forget, but I wouldn't rip it back out again because it wasn't going to be that big a deal, like 5 or 10 stitches, But anyway, it's kind of funny. It's very cute. I think obviously if you did it in non-furry yarn,
you'd have to be
it looked better than what mine probably looked
more
like.
Careful.
It was, shaved down.
Don't shave your hedgehog.
Anyway.
Oh, funny.
But no, it's very cute. So, and I'm pleased now. I'm making no promises about my skull or my rabbit, or I also have I bought the yarn and everything for a poodle, a black standard poodle, and so someday maybe I'll get to those, but I'm not making any promises. Okay, The Weekender. I've not even picked it up since I came home. And I kind of lost my mojo after all the conversation at the NoCKRs retreat about that it's, so many people have made it, and I think it's such a good looking sweater, but there was a lot of conversation about some of the issues with the pattern and how people have modified it. And I kind of lost my mojo a little bit. Yeah.
Well, maybe some people who have made it and love their version can help you get your mojo back.
Yeah, I just need to go pick it up. Also, I've just been really, since I got back from California, it's just been really busy here with, and it's, Mark getting his house ready.
And it's not like you're in need of a sweater at this point. I mean, we're moving into, we're moving into spring, even there. And,
so I'll finish it. I just, I don't know, just kind of. Well, also too, maybe I worked on it pretty a lot at your house and at the retreat, and I think maybe that was just too much. Maybe I needed to.
Yeah, because you didn't really have another project. Oh, you did a little bit of spinning. Yeah,
I just one day at the retreat I just was spinning, and then I finished a pair of socks at your house, and then I started another pair of socks which I worked on at the retreat, but. Yeah, I don't know. I'll get back to it. It's just momentarily, I was just like, ugh, I don't know. Just like,
right.
I began to question whether I really like it or not. That was the thing. Anyway, but I need to finish it to decide.
Right, exactly.
So that's, And then the socks that I mentioned, I'm just knitting on those right now. That's the Yarns Wacki Saki in the colorway Batty Berlin. And I have maybe another 1/2 inch, and then I'll start the toe decrease of the first sock. And spinning, I've not done any spinning since I've been home either, but I'm using Into the World roving in the colorways Welcome to Litchfield and The Traveler. And BostonJen messaged me that she used the exact same yarn, the exact same colorways.
Oh my gosh.
And she did the exact same thing where she did a single of each color and plied them together and made a hat, which is when she messaged me, I'm like, it was such a coincidence because that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm also thinking of making a hat out of it. So great minds think alike.
Yes.
Right?
Well, it'll be interesting to see when you're done what they look like, how alike they are, because not, no two spinning projects really come out the same when you're doing those kinds of braids. So that'll be fun to see. Oh, I'm glad she mentioned that to you.
Yeah. So, and then I have on here the weaving studio. Just an update on the loom, because we had a lot of conversation at your house about the loom and the model of the loom and the fact that my brake keeps falling off. And so when I got home, we realized, Kelly, when we were together, we realized that there's supposed to be an S hook that holds that brake band to the mechanism, and mine was sort of an L-shaped. So I went up to the hardware store to get an S hook, and because we also found we can buy them online, but I thought I'm just going to go up to the hardware store and see what they have. And talking to the young man, he said, well, how about using a tiny carabiner? Then that won't slip off at all. So I bought this little carabiner for $1.50 and attached it. So now I've not had any chance to weave. I've not even warped the loom, but I'm interested to see how that's going to work.
Yeah.
I've just been testing and it seems like it stays on. The real issue is when you have more tension on it with the fabric, the warp. So we'll see if I've solved my problem. If not, I'll go back to I think it's Camilla Valley Farms, where I can order the S hook. So anyway, that's the update on that. Hopefully I've solved my problem.
Well, that's good. I would imagine that it does solve your problem. I mean, it accomplishes the same end. So, we'll see. Cool.
And how about you? How are your projects?
Pretty good. I'm knitting right now on a hat. It's a spirit yarn from the Knockers Retreat. It's the third hat that I've made from the Knockers yarn. I finished the gray one that I actually started while we were at the retreat. And then I had picked up a skein or a ball of yarn. It's an Italian yarn company, and I didn't save the ball band, but it was cotton. At first I thought it was wool, and then I looked at it more carefully. It was cotton and modal, and it felt a lot like the Barocco remix. It's like a moss green, sort of tweedy color. It made a real pretty hat. I knit a hat out of that, and now I'm knitting a hat out of some turquoise DK, and I'm holding a strand of leftover sock yarn with the turquoise. Kind of in stripes. So I have like a 1 inches of 1 inch. I held it with the brim, the ribbing of the brim, and then I switched to just the turquoise. And then I did for about 1 inch, and then I did 1 inch stripe of the held together. And so I've just been alternating like that. And I'm now at the crown decreases of this hat. So I have to say that it's very rewarding. Because what I have decided to do, I've done charity hats for a while, and I was doing the mother bears, and I had a couple of mother bears that I had not sent in, and at our college they have a Student Basic Needs Center, and most community colleges in the state of California have it. So they help connect up students with, like if they have problems with their rent or problems with their car, they help connect them up with, assistance. They have food pantries that come, where they have food where students they call it El Mercado. And so the students can basically go in and shop for food for free, but it's set up like a store. And so we also have a table where people can leave things that they don't want anymore. And so there's a lot of clothing, and then a lot of child's clothing. And then, occasionally someone will bring a book or whatever. So there's just a sort of random variety of stuff on the table. And so I've brought things there. And when I found out that the Mother Bear Project was closing down, I thought, you know what, these couple of bears that I have, I'm just going to bring them to school. And so anyway, if you are looking for a charity and you have a community college near you, check and see if they have something like this, a basic needs center with a place where people can just drop off things that people might want. Because almost everything I've dropped off has been gone within 24 hours. And it's fun because I can go back and check.
Yeah.
Like, how fast did my stuff go? But it's very rewarding. I put, the gray hat, gone the next day. The green hat, gone the next day. The bears, gone within 2 hours. If I happen to pass by that location where the table is, I can see it. And so that's what I've been doing, is just making hats out of, I brought the yarn home specifically for charity hats. And I just decided to start dropping them off at school, and they seem to be popular. So, if there's a cold head, that's what I'm making them for, a cold head.
That's great.
Yeah.
You'll have to see if you see any students wearing your hats.
I know. I think that would be funny to see. The ones that I've dropped off so far were probably more in kids' colors. So maybe also kids' sizes. So it might have been somebody's kids who got these hats. But anyway, it's been fun to do that. And I think if anybody's looking for, if anybody's looking for a place to donate, it's just, it's a need. Our students, lots of them are housing insecure. Okay, well, I was floundering around with the percentages, and I just want to give you an accurate number. In 2023, 47% of community college students in California were food insecure, and 58% were housing insecure, and 24% reported being homeless. So every California community college as of January 24 has an office of basic needs and provides those basic needs to students. Anyway, they have a basic needs service center at every community college in California. It's a big percentage for both of those things. And so if I can help, it makes me feel good. And it's also fun to see how fast they go.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now. And what I finished from the spirit yarn. I also have on the go, I have to do it this morning before we leave, or maybe I'll do it in the car. I have to finish the edges of a pot holder because I'm making my mommy a pot holder for Mother's Day. You know how you do that in school with those pot holder looms? Well, I bought myself a pot holder loom. And I made a couple of pot holders for myself.
Uh-huh. Well, I had one of those as a little kid, and I would make all these pot holders. And then you would not be allowed to do this today, but I would just go around and knock on people's doors to see if they wanted to buy a pot holder.
Yeah.
So it's like a little kid's craft. But I saw the ones you had they were on your stove, and they're super cute.
The pot holder loom comes with, little patterns so that you can make, design. So I did a little houndstooth one for my mom in yellow and orange. And now I just have to crochet the edges, take it off the loom, crochet the edges together as I take it off the loom. So anyway, I'm going to bring it to her today. I just thought that was so funny. Like when I got it, I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a pot holder for Mother's Day. That's just so funny to me.
Yeah.
At my age.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Very funny.
Yeah. And the strips are really nice. They're cotton loops. So, they make a great pot holder that won't melt because I have melted quite a few dollar store potholders. And Betty used to grab new potholders at the dollar store when she would go there with the woman she was helping. And a couple of times making bread, I melted the potholders because they weren't cotton, you know.
Like a potholder has to be cotton or wool or something. I mean, any kind of polyester, it's not gonna. It will melt. I mean, it doesn't make.
I mean, regular food, probably regular food coming out of the oven, it won't. But doing that that bread in the cast iron pot, you know, you have to have it like at 450 or it's very hot temperature, and so I melted potholders a few times. So anyway, now I have nice cotton potholders. I still have to wash them and see how they wash up, but it's been a fun project. I got inspired because I think it was Twin Set Jan who was making potholders or making things on that potholder loom, and then there was a whole discussion in the Weave Along thread about the potholder loom, and I was like, okay, I'm buying one. So I bought one for myself. I bought the 7x7, but apparently if you buy the next size up, you can get more patterns. And Robert and Aunt Betty both think my potholders are a little small, and probably when they get washed, they'll really think they're small. But to me, they're the right size. They feel like the right size to me. But anyway, so I had said if I decide I want to do more of this, I'll buy myself the bigger potholder loom and pass the small one on to pass it on to Sarah's kids, my grandniece and nephew, and see if they want to play with it. So, but I've been having fun with that. And then what else have I been doing? Well, I've been spinning a little, and I've done a couple of nights in the evening when I come home from work. I've done a little bit of spinning on the merino Corriedale cross that I got from the destash that didn't even get into the destash room. Pat's fleece. It's really nicely prepared, and it's been really fun. And so it's making me think about going to the Fiber Frolic. I think that's what it's called. It's the one that the spindles. Okay, and now I don't even remember the guild. There's a guild, Spindles and Threads, something like that, they used to have the spinning at the winery.
We've done all of our research, haven't we?
I know, really. It was so too early. So they used to have spinning at the winery, and now they have it at the Soul Food Farms in Vallejo.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I did look at the flyer, and I did see that Duran Dye Works Laura is going to be there. And since Morrow Fleece Works is retiring, I thought I would see if I can send a couple of my fleeces off to be processed, because I did kind of get inspired to do that by spinning this already processed, commercially processed instead of processed myself fleece. And I think it will be nice to have a little bit of fleece that's processed by someone else in between spinning the stuff that I process myself. And it's different, right? My drum carder makes carded bats, but I can't make roving. I'm not sure I'm going to go because I have a dog show the next day, I think. Yes, I do. I have a dog show the next day somewhere else that's far away. So I don't know if I want to do 2 long trips in one weekend, but I'm thinking about going up there so I can drop off a couple of fleeces with her to be processed. So there's been some spinning. I need to get this project. I need to get the second bobbin done so I can make a skein and then call it done, and then start thinking about what I'm going to do for the summer spin-in, which I'll just mention is going to start May 31st. I think we started at the end of May, right? I just made up that date and put it in the show notes.
Memorial Day.
Okay. So May 31st starts our summer spin-in. I'll put up a thread probably before that so people can start talking about their spinning. And of course, if you have a project that's already started by May 31st, you may count it and finish. It's about finishing stuff, right? Getting some spinning done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what else? Oh, two weaving things. I finished the towels that I was working on, the M's and O's threading.
Mm-hmm.
I got 7 towels plus a square. And they're a mix of mostly, I have 3 of them that are like fluffy weft, solid color.
Mm-hmm.
2 are beige and 1 is yellow, but it was one of the fluffier cotton yarns that I had. And then I made a couple of them out of, with stripes and lots of color. So that was fun. And then I think I have 1 or 2 that are, a solid orange that was a thicker, it wasn't fluffy, but it was a thicker, yarn than the warp. Because the warp was pretty thin. I was alternating thread in the weight that I usually use with a cone of yellow that's almost like sewing thread. And so I thought, this is going to come out a little thin. I need a thicker weft. But even the thinner ones turned out nice. The ones that I used the regular, 10-2 cotton on came out nice. So yeah, I'm happy with them. I just have to hem them. They've been washed. They're off the loom, washed, cut apart. The hems are all pressed, but I just need to actually take the time to sew them. So. Yeah.
Well, they're really pretty. The ones I saw when I saw them on the loom, really pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Love the pattern, and I love the colors.
Yeah, the texture of them is fun. I like how the M's and O's came out, and I did do some experimenting toward the end, but mostly they're just checkerboards of the M's and O's. And then I do have another weaving project on the loom. I got myself together and got it onto the loom, and actually it's really pretty fast. It's the chenille rug.
Oh yes.
And so I have the first warp on the loom. Mm-hmm. I haven't wound it. It's threaded and tied, but I still have to wind it onto the back beam. I am warping it front to back. But this will be the place where I make the chenille. So it's threaded with threads really close together, crammed. It's called cramming and denting. So I have the threads close together, crammed into 2 dents, and then the rest of the dents in that inch are empty. So I'm using a 12 dent reed. And so I've got 4 threads in one, 4 threads in the next one, and then 10 empty ones, and then 4 and 4 and 10 empty ones. So what you have are woven parts and empty parts. Once you get it all woven, you take it off the loom. Those empty parts you cut in between, and that makes a little tiny strip of woven fabric with fringe on each end. And that's your yarn, your quote yarn, your chenille. That you then weave into a different warp. So anyway, it was very fast to wind. It was very fast to thread. And now it's been sitting while I wait to get it wound on this weekend. So I should be able to wind it on this weekend and start weaving. And when you weave the chenille, you weave with, the weft you use is like a big group of yarns about the thickness of your finger.
Okay.
So a big rope full of yarn, and you wind it on. So you don't use like those strips individually, you group those together in is that what you're saying? No, to make the strips. So for the warp I have right now, when I actually start weaving to make the stuff that's going to become the fringe, you don't weave one thread at a time as weft. You weave like a big bulky group of yarn. So I'll have that wound onto my shuttle, and so those threads that have the gaps, I'll go through those threads with that big giant bulky rope of yarn, and then back and forth through that. So that's what I'll be using for weft on this warp to make the chenille. Oh,
so this is to make the chenille strips.
Yes.
You're doing that. Mm-hmm. Okay. But then I went to the next process. So we actually start weaving with the strips You'll just use one strip
One
at
strip.
a time.
It'll
right?
be like making a
Okay,
rag
okay.
rug. I'll have these chenille strips. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But
So
it does make sense to make the weaving process for the strips. It makes sense that you want to have a group of threads. Otherwise, it'd probably be too thin, right? If
right.
it's just one.
Right. So you have
Yeah.
big puffy. So you'll have big puffy chenilles, right? Your caterpillar will be very furry.
Yeah.
And so I have a big tub of spirit yarn sitting in my studio, and that's the yarn I'm going to use. And some of them are thin, some of them are thicker. Most of them are fairly thin. So anyway, I'm hoping to use up a lot of it. And I've already used a lot just in making. I was surprised at how many cones I emptied just to make the warp. Because I just went and grabbed, I thought, okay, I want things that are kind of darker colors. Because Kelly had mentioned that on the sides of her rug, once she wove with the chenille strips, on the sides of the rug, she could see some of her warp peeking out because it was a light color, like a white. There was like a white in there. Mm-hmm. And so she said, it really does matter what color you use because you can see it. And I thought, okay, well, the thing about darker colors is they just disappear, right? Especially since what I have in my wool is, browns and blues, and there's some lighter colors, but mostly they're sort of in the neutral and dark range. And so I just looked for things that were a little darker, browns and greens. And I did use a cone. I had a cone of crochet cotton that was all stained, had little spots, like rust spots on it. And so I used that in there. I got rid of a lot of stuff, which was nice. I used up a lot of a lot of little, odds and ends in the warp. And then I was like, oh, well, that's really pretty. That would make really nice dish towels. Too bad it's not going to be shown.
I'm going to look at your project pages. Is it on your project page?
I think I do. I have some of the pictures at least on my project page. I believe I put a picture of the warp on it. So you can see the warp. But, I have the picture of all the cones that
all the cones you went through, yes.
So, there wasn't a lot on them. But, getting rid of all those odds and ends. Okay, so I don't yet have a picture of what the warp looked like. I'll have to put that on because it was really pretty. All wound onto the warping board. All the colors together just looked really, really nice. So I'll put that in there too so you can see. But that will not be part of the project. That part of the project will really not show. It will all be the... Okay,
and then, Kelly, which loom are you using?
I'm still using my Leclerc. I don't have the apron on the fake Maycomber.
Okay.
the Franken loom. I don't know. Oh, I'm not sure. The sidewalk loom. That's what I've been calling it. I don't have
that's a good name for it.
I don't have the apron on the sidewalk loom. So I still have to do that. I didn't include that project in this show notes because I haven't worked on that at all. But I'm ready to just get the apron on, get the cords on, and it should be ready to weave once I do that. But I just wanted to start another project when I got those dish towels off the loom. So I'm tired of seeing that big giant bin of cones in the studio. I need to get that gone. So anyway, that's the end of my projects.
Well, I'm excited about this chenille rug. I think it's really interesting. It was fun to see Kelly's, the photographs of hers. So it'd be interesting to see the whole process is really fascinating.
And hers was more intentional, the color, because she was making it for the van, her yellow van. And so I think it'll be interesting to see too, how the chenilles come out with my sort of mishmash of yarns. And I have made some I think I mentioned it in a previous episode. I've made some sample squares on my little pin loom for some of the cones. And so there's a lot of yarn on those cones, but I think I may take those cones where I like the sample and separate those out, and then first use the ones where I didn't like the sample for a blanket, where it's just not going to work. And then some of the ones where I have just little bits. So I'll start with that batch, and then depending on how much more weft I need, I'll dip into the cones that I think could make nice blankets. Because I do think I have more yarn than I'm going to need, but I want to make a dent in it. So,
yeah. And how big is the finished rug going to be, do you think?
I don't know. I haven't really decided. I mean, my width of the loom it's on is a 36-inch width, and I probably wouldn't weave it at the full 36 inches. So maybe 30 wide. And then whatever length goes along with 30. And I might weave 2 of them. My original plan was that I was making crate mats for the dogs to put in the dogs' crates. But I also might do them as dog mats for the trailer, to put outside for them to lay on. Or if I really like how it's coming out, maybe I'll use it as a rug. I don't know where I would put a rug. Maybe in the bathroom. Can
you use it in the trailer, just inside the trailer? Like when you first walk in the trailer? We
have braided rugs that I bought from a company that makes wool braided rugs. And so we already have those rugs in the trailer. So, so yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I just wanted to, experiment with this process. So we'll see. Yeah. It'll find a use somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could put a rug in the vanity area in our bedroom. That would be kind of nice. I could put my bare feet on it in the morning when I wake up, or put it beside my bed. Put it on the floor beside my bed.
Yeah, all these projects, as we talk about all the time, like you spin the yarn. That's the project, spinning the yarn, and then you decide what you're going to make, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so
you think you're destashing, but actually you're just putting your stash into a different form.
Yes.
unless you can give it away to someone.
Yeah.
But
no, yeah, that's what I always say. It's just a different, you still have it. It's just in a different form.
Yes.
It's still in your house, but
yeah. So anyway, I thought that sounded like a really fun project, and it will do something with yarns that probably sat in the weaving room at Hartnell for a decade. And then it's been almost 20 years since the weaving program stopped. So we're talking about old yarn. And it'll have a new life. And so that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's, well, anyway, I'm excited about it.
I'll make a rug for you.
And I'll make a rag rug for you and send it. And then we can both take them and throw them away.
We could have a rug exchange. We could have a rug exchange. Yes.
That's so funny. Well, trying to decide if I want to do another set of towels since I bought yarn, or if I want to do my rag rug. And I think I kind of want to do the rag rug.
Yeah, yeah.
It just sounds kind of fun. But it's going to be, well, that's a whole nother podcast that'll be another time we'll talk about it, because I have to kind of think about how I want to do it. I watched a bunch of videos, and some, they just cut the the fabric into strips. So you have all those loose threads. Other people actually put them through the strips through one of those bias tape makers, and then press them and stitch them all, which seems like a lot of work, but it makes it's a completely different look of rag rug. It's less rustic. It's more tailored. So I don't know. Sort of depends on how much work I want to do.
Yeah. Well, Kathy Straight Fork is making rugs with denim.
Oh yeah.
And she's got those pictures on the thread of her work with the denim rugs. And those are really cool. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. And then you have to also think about what warp you want to, what warp you want to use and what colors, because the warp colors will make an impact. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have some planning to do, Marsha.
And I just have that big cone of cotton. I don't know what it's something I bought for another. It was some other project. Remember, it was like you crocheted the rug or something. These strips. I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
So long ago. Remember, plâché?
I think it was called something like plâché. Yeah.
And something, anyway, the point is, I never did those, but I have that cone of yarn, so that's what I was planning to use for the warp. I'm not there yet. We'll see.
Right.
I have to get through the house thing.
Yes.
Even though it's not my house, I'd like to point out.
That's right.
But I've been sucked into the vortex of this project.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Anyway, okay. Well, I think that's it. Do we have anything else we want to say? Oh, I know. Winter weave along.
Oh yes.
Prizes, Kelly.
Because of today's early morning, quick get ready and record, so that I can go drink wine on a Friday during the day. We won't be drawing prizes for the winter weave along just yet. But I think Marsha and I are going to just do a little bonus episode where we just come on and tell the prizes. So stay tuned. It'll come into your podcast app. And you'll see that we have a prize episode, and you can just listen to see if you won.
With that, should we say goodbye?
I think that's it, Marsha. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'll talk to you in the pop-up then.
Okay. Yes, the pop-up episode.
All righty.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.